He was an angry person when he came in, and he left with a peaceful mind, understanding that anger doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get you what you want. And it's sort of like the horses. The horses lash out because they don't understand, and it's about that communication. And you're not dealing with just any horse. You're dealing with a Mustang who's been out in the wild, whose survival is number one. And to get that out of them, that they don't need to survive anymore.
There are healers on this planet with the power to soften the suffering of mankind, yet they have remained in the recesses of the world, abused, discarded, and labeled as trash. This is The Touch of a Mustang. I am your host, Shalise Clough, and I'm here to tell the story of wild horses, Mustangs, and the humans who are discovering and sharing their gifts while working to protect their well-being and preserve their spirit so this divine power won't be lost. Join us on this quest with the wild Mustang. Lynda, welcome to The Touch of a Mustang. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So we are going to talk a lot about the program that you run with Mustangs, but to start off with, I would like to talk about how you got into horses and then how that led to Mustangs.
Sure. I grew up a city girl, but I was not a city girl. I was all about the Western lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so that didn't happen for me till I was 48 years old.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of late in life. We moved here, my husband and I, and we bought some acreage. And there's so many Mustangs in the state of Nevada. And I've always felt close to horses, and especially the Mustangs, because I felt my background growing up just kind of related to them, the freedom that they have and the wildness that they have. And so I started going out with my husband, looking at them in the wild, being able to approach, some herds, which, is not everybody can do. But I just have this connection with horses. And so we'd go to facilities, BLM holding facilities, and look at the horses and such. And my husband one day, just out of boredom, hey, you want to go look at horses? And I said, I'm done. I'm done looking at them because I can't bring one home. And it was hurting me to leave them in the holding facilities, not that they were being mistreated or anything. It was just, I wanted one so bad. And so I was selling a business that I had started when we moved to Nevada. And so I was in California by the Susanville area, and they have a holding facility there that we had visited many times. And he called me up and while I was there and said, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? And it was Valentine's Day. I said, well, I'm coming home, And he said, well, you better stop at the facility because there is going to be a gentleman with a trailer, and he's going to be there for your Mustang to bring it home.
Wow.
Well, behold, I met my husband and him there, and we brought home 2 Mustangs.
That's probably a Valentine's Day that he's never beat.
Gosh. And I had no idea what he had done.
Wow.
When I got home, he had built me this full training facility.
Wow.
I mean, it was amazing. And he had planned this for a while, because the panels, you have to have 6-foot panels, and they were all custom built and everything. And I had a lot to learn. I had a lot to learn because I was a first-time horse owner.
You thought, let's go with a Mustang.
Yeah, saddling a horse. I didn't even know how to do that,
Yeah.
And so I sought out many people, and I got good at it, training them. And of course, 2 turned into 4. Then I would rehome a couple. Then I'd get some more, and all my horses found good homes. And then I heard about some Mustangs up in Reno that were being sold. So I went up there with a couple friends, and they're all like, oh, this one, ooh, that one, and they brought 3 in the pen for me to look at, and they were all from the same herd, and they were all mares. And I was skeptical on getting a mare because, they can be kind of fussy.
Yeah, I love mares, but they do have that reputation, yeah.
Yes, but I picked one out, and she turned out to be amazing. She walked into my trailer. We brought her home, which, is a few hours away. I touched her that day. She came up to the pen and I was able to rub her nose.
And
The
was
next
she
day,
untouched before you got
yes,
her?
totally
Wow.
untouched.
Mm-hmm.
She was totally a wild girl.
She was ready for you.
She was. She kind of picked me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really pick her. And I was just going to, gentle her, find her a home at an event that was happening in Reno. And when I got to the event, I mean, there's no way I could give her up. There was nobody good enough for her.
Yeah.
And she didn't get adopted. She was a bay mare, but she had Spanish Barb in her, and she also had Morgan, which was the cavalry remounts. So she was gorgeous. You saw the pictures that I sent you.
Mm-hmm.
She was gorgeous, but she was smart, and she was the lead mare, so everybody else had to watch out.
Yeah, smart and opinionated.
Yes. And she would be feisty with them, but as soon as I brought the halter out, calm down, come to me, I halter her up, and I haltered her the second day I had her. I took her, they come with a tag around their neck, and it's kind of in their loop, kind of difficult. So, they got to stand still for you to really do
That
it.
is funny. It is hard to get off.
Yeah, but she let me take it off. She just progressed. I did a lot of groundwork with her. I was able to saddle her and do groundwork some more. I'm a big groundwork kind of person.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And then I had a friend who was a cowboy who had trained some horses, and he came over and we got our first ride. I got my first ride on her. And then I took her to Lanny Leach just to put some time on her. And he said, Lynda, this horse is never going to hurt you. Because I still had some fear issues going on from childhood issues. And, so I was, even though I wanted it so badly, I still was afraid.
Yeah.
And she accepted me for who I was. And she turned out to be an awesome horse. I'd take her riding with other people and horses would get all crazy. And one time I went to my neighbor's house and her girlfriend were going to go riding with me. And so I took her over there and one of the horses got bucky and bucked a girl off. And she hit pretty hard. So I got off my horse and she goes, do you want me to hold your horse? I go, no. And I just dropped the reins and she just stood there and she just kind of looked at everybody like, why are you bucking and getting all crazy? Why are you all stressed out? She was so mellow like that.
Mm-hmm.
I also took her to a breed show. We were invited to go to a breed show to show the Mustang, and it was because we weren't political. They didn't want any part of the political aspects of it. So we brought her down there. First time she ever had a bath, because we don't bathe our horses in Arizona. I mean, in Nevada. It was like, it's dirt, man. It's dirt. Unless you're showing your horse, you don't bathe them. So she had her first bath, did super. She was put in a small, show stall, which she'd never been in before. Mm-hmm. She did perfect in there. We did meet and greets. People would come up and pet her, and I'm a big hug your butt horse type person. So anybody could get behind her and it didn't bother her in the least bit because, she was used to me always hugging her butt, And so she did really good with kids at the meet and greet. And then we went to do our demo and I let her off her because she'd been in that stall. She needed to run and, get crazy.
Yeah.
So I let her off and in the arena and she just ran and she was bucking and, doing all the wild things. And everybody's like, whoa, that's so cool, and I'm talking about adoption, And when I'm all done, she was a show off. She loved attention. Okay.
Yeah. So, she sounds like she was made for this.
Oh, she was. She was such an awesome, awesome horse. And so then I put my hand out and I just, come on, Lil Gal. And I named her Lil Gal because I wasn't going to keep her. So
that was her temporary name.
Right. It was a temporary name. Well, it turned out to be her name because she was her name. So I just, kissed for her and she came running at me and she stopped, a dead stop, sliding stop. I put her halter on and everybody's like, whoa,
Yeah.
I go, this is what you can do with a Mustang.
Yeah.
If you pick the right one.
Yeah. Not all of them, but
if you're the right trainer. One. And I rehomed horses because they didn't fit me.
Yeah.
And you have to have a fit. And some horses fit other people better than they fit you. And so that was her thing. Unfortunately, a few years ago, she got laminitis for the last 3 years of her life in the winter from mistrimming. I trusted someone who was supposed to be a natural trimmer because her feet were really hard. But unfortunately, she was a little upright and they were trying to kick her back. And finally, the last winter, she was so bad that the vet just said, "You're going to deal with this the rest of her life." And he loved her. So we ended up having to put her down, which was probably the saddest day in my life because she was my partner. We could trust each other, things like that. Then a while later, I never have gotten over her, but a little while later, tried a couple more Mustangs and I started noticing weakness in my legs. So I started having some back issues and things. And the last Mustang that I had, I was intending on keeping him because he was a really nice horse, but I couldn't get out of my own way. So I couldn't train him and I couldn't even put a saddle on him anymore. The weakness got so bad. So a year later, we rehomed him. He found a really good home on a ranch in Arizona. And so we sold our place. And now I just live in a regular little house. I get my horse fixes by going to the adoption in Carson City. I get to visit any time I want, and that helps me. And I'm focused on, raising funds for helping out the adoption programs and other programs that help Mustangs find homes. So I'm kind of concentrating on that right now. It's a season. I had 18 great years of being with horses, training them. I loved it, but I'm pushing 70. Not that 70 is too old because I see ladies riding, way into their 80s. So that's not the issue. It's just my health, my physical health is not that great.
Well, I think that's amazing. You found a way to still stay involved and be part of the Mustang adventure. It sounds like you had some great ones when they were right next to you. And
yeah, I did. And, great people behind me, Dawn Lappin, who was the secretary for Wild Horse Annie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, her and I were really good friends. And she taught me a lot about the horse program and what Annie would have loved. She was, before her passing, she was a great inspiration for me. And so we're just keeping this going, because, she helped me out with that, and as long as I can still do it, I'm going to continue.
Yeah. So tell us some about your program and how that evolved and what you guys are working on, all the good stuff.
Sure. So it started out, I was involved with a couple other groups and they just didn't have the same value system I had. So I then started my own where I have more control over things and which is a good thing. I mean, it's all volunteer. I've volunteered for the last 17 plus years. I cherish the people who support us and I want to make sure that the expenditures are worthy of our foundation. So I started the foundation. I wrote a grant, which helped us out tremendously. And I was approached by the Northern Nevada Correctional Center. They were going to end the program, the training program and adoption program at the prison was at the medium security.
Yeah.
Which was really a hassle because the horses had to be transported in there for the adoption. Everybody had to be searched. You had to give up your keys. For me to get in with, my vehicle, it had to be totally searched. The warden there just didn't want it anymore. And so I was contacted by the farm, which is low security. It's still a prison, but...
and so I guess for people who don't know, this was the program where inmates are training the horses and then the horses are getting adopted out to the public, right?
Yeah, the public and also agencies. Like the Border Patrol has a lot of our Mustangs. The Palominos that you see in the Rose Parade with the Marines, the color guard, those are all Mustangs that were trained at our facility.
Wow.
So, it's a good, super good program, but it was just failing there.
It wasn't working that way.
It wasn't working out. So anyway, they called me and they asked me, we have labor, but it's going to cost us to move the whole facility. And I said, sure. So we spent over $30,000 moving the facility to the farm, where it has exploded. I mean, we've added more pens. We're continually doing things to help that program grow. Like I said, we're getting quality Mustangs adopted, quality trained Mustangs adopted, and they're just amazing. They house about 1,700 horses there that they can pull from. The guys there, it has totally changed their lives.
I bet.
It's a lot of them have never even been near a horse, so this is kind of exciting.
You're perfect for it.
For them,
Get
right?
in there. It's a wild Mustang. You don't have to have horse experience.
They are wild, so are these horses.
Yeah, lots of correlations.
Yeah. They I think they both need to be saved. They need to be saved and have purpose.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys, come out and they don't reoffend. Most of them don't reoffend coming out of our program, which is fabulous.
Yeah,
not all
huge.
of them continue in the horse industry, which is fine. That's not the purpose of it. It's great when they can continue training, because that means more horses get adopted and trained. There's lots of people that own horses that they need help with them.
Yeah.
So it's nice to do that, but we just enjoy the fact, lives are being changed. And that's important to me. When I first started, it was like, okay, we're going to get horses adopted. That's great. Then I started hanging out with some of the inmates and seeing how emotional they were about their horses and about the program. And I realized, most of these guys at the farm, they just did something stupid. Yeah, do they have to pay the price? Yes, they do. But they got caught doing something stupid. Well, forgiveness is everything. And I come to realize that they needed as much help as the Mustangs. So we developed a program where we can get scholarships for them to get a certification.
Oh, cool.
Through the Leech Colt Starting Academy in Arizona. And then that certification, they also get a saddle and tack included in that. It's a 2-month program. And
is that something they do at the prison still, or at the farm? So the farm's minimal security?
Yes, but this is after they get off parole.
Oh, okay. So this is after they've served their time.
Right.
Served parole. This is after they're out in the community.
Yes, and they have to be chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I talk with them. I talk with the head trainer there. Number one, they have to have a talent. I see the horses when they come up for adoption, so I know who's done a really good job and who hasn't.
Yeah.
Because our scholarships aren't cheap, and I want to invest in guys that are going to continue working with Mustangs. That's my goal, to get homes for Mustangs.
Yeah.
So
what an incredible opportunity for them too, because that is one of the hardest things for a lot of people who are released from incarceration is they don't know where to go. They don't know where to find work, even if they're willing and things like that.
Well, at the farm, there's requirements. It's a really good program. It's one of the best in the United States, because it's all about rehabilitation, whether you're in the horse program or you're in the printing program or whatever. They have requirements. So when you get on parole, you have to have a place to live, whether it's a halfway house or you have family in the area. And of course, you have a parole officer. You have to get a job. One of my requirements is that you keep in contact with me if you are an applicant for, a scholarship. Mm-hmm. You have to keep your nose clean. You have requirements that you have to have. And these guys can be on parole, for a long time. Many, many months. And so they keep in touch with me. I keep in touch with them. And if they change their mind and they don't want to do it, that's fine too. But I want that opportunity there. We also can set them up with a farrier situation. So if they want to become farriers, we'll make sure that happens, So I just wanted them to have more opportunities, because it's hard on the outside. They're used to being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And now they have to make decisions on their own. And it's hard. And, I know guys that return, not necessarily to our program, but returned to prison because they can't handle the outside, and I don't want them labeled. It's like the Mustangs, I don't want them labeled as horses that are useless.
Yeah.
Because they're very useful, depending on their conformation and their abilities. One of my horses is a dressage horse now. And there's a couple others that I know down in Norco, California. Norco purchased a horse there that is a dressage horse, and he thinks he's a dressage horse too. He's got total attitude now. Yeah, he doesn't know he's just a Mustang.
Yeah.
But they're used in ranching, and people are showing them. I mean, they're so versatile. And we're getting a lot of interest from people in Europe. 2 of our horses at the last adoption went to Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
And to ship them to Hawaii is like $10,000.
Yeah, I was like, that can't be cheap. Holy moly.
No, but they wanted them so badly that they came to our adoption. They flew in from Hawaii, and they adopted 2 Mustangs at our last adoption. And it was awesome.
Wow.
It was awesome.
That's very cool.
Yeah, we get people from all different states. And, one of my projects that I want to do is see more success in those inmate programs. Because there's a couple more, and it'd be great to have some more prisons have this program.
Yeah.
Because it's a win-win situation. But, it takes money. The government does not pay for infrastructure.
Mm.
So you have to, number one, have the funding. Number 2, you have to have a warden that wants that program, because the warden has to okay it,
Yeah.
And then, of course, the contract with them between, BLM, and they have to have the room to hold Mustangs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot entailed in that. But there are 2 others that, we support. Mostly, well, they've changed a little bit, and we're trying to get them back on track so that they can get more quality horses out.
Yeah.
Time will tell with that.
Yeah. It's interesting that there are barriers, because it seems like such a successful win-win program, both for these Mustangs that are in holding and for inmates who can use some help integrating back into life afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, they have like the dog programs, which is much easier to attain at a prison. You're talking about the care of wild horses, the equipment to take care of these horses, because you have to have equipment that'll, a squeeze that'll turn and lay down so they can trim them. Because even though you're holding like a bunch of horses, they still need to be trimmed every few weeks. So they run them in a chute, and this thing squeezes them, and it turns them totally on their side, and then they can trim their hooves, so because they're not moving around, so they're not getting trimmed like they would.
Self-trimming.
Right. So
wild.
Yeah, so there's a lot to it, and I would love to see a women's program do this. Yeah. Plus, there's the ability of getting hurt, especially when you're dealing with novice people that haven't been around horses. It can be dangerous if not handled properly.
Yeah.
But I would love to see that happen.
Yeah. Is that just something government needs to lead that, or how do you think that could happen? Is that possible?
Yeah, it's possible. I don't have the energy to do this, but you would have
takes
to,
a lot.
And I've had people call me asking me, how can we do this? We want to do this in our state. And I said, well, number one, you got to find a prison program that has the property to hold the horses. Then you have to speak with the warden to see if he wants the program. Then you have to go to the BLM to see if BLM is willing to do a contract with them. Then you have to raise the money to have the infrastructure, which is roughly, starting out probably $100,000.
Yeah.
It costs money to make money. And, our program's paid for itself, I think, because so at the adoption, the money doesn't go to us or the prison. These horses are owned by the BLM. And so the money goes back into the program, which is good because the government pays X amount of money per day per horse in holding facilities in the prison programs. Mm-hmm. So that's why they have so many that they're holding at our at our prison. 1,700 horses is a lot. And burros, little burros too.
Yeah.
and the last burro went for, I think, $1,000. Little trained burro, but she was so cute.
Yeah, they are really cute.
They are.
Talk a little bit about what you guys are doing now and your work with Boot Barn.
Yeah, so Boot Barn approached us because they do a lot of campaigns that have to do with the Western style lifestyle. And they heard about our program and they contacted us and wanted to do a video campaign. And it was about redemption. And they involved Jelly Roll in it. So that's my connection with Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
So
you did pretty good. I definitely saw it. That's
you saw that. That was an awesome thing. It was a great endorsement. You know, I'm hoping that the endorsements that we got from both Boot Barn and Jelly Roll will help us raise some funds. Right as of now, it hasn't really made much change, but we're looking forward to the future. And with Boot Barn, you know, so they came out, they filmed, they did an excellent job. The video was
it's
more
really
than
cool.
I could have expected.
Video. Where's the best place to see the video? Is there a good place? I saw it on Facebook making rounds.
So the one with Jelly is the only place you'll be able to really see it. You might be able to see it on YouTube. I'm not sure, but we won't be able to continue using it after March because the contract with Boot Barn and Jelly was 6 months. So we can show the second part of it, which is great because I have access to anything that Boot Barn filmed, any documents type stuff, any photographs, I will continue to have those. But because their contract with Jelly was for 6 months, we can no longer use that. So you probably, and I don't know how long, I think that they will only be posting the full video until March as well.
Okay.
So it's like, look at it now because, you know,
everybody go find it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see that portion of it, you know, but I think that the portion without Jelly Roll in it is still a very good production.
Super powerful.
Yeah, I think it really shows a lot. And so we're going to continue to work with Boot Barn. They're anxious to continue to work with us. You know, our prison guys at our prison, they use blue jeans. You know, they're not in red jumpers, orange jumpers. And so they go through their tack, their helmets, their blue jeans, their boots. They go through them. And, you know, we need to continue supporting, trying to get those things replaced. Plus, they want to expand. Now looking at putting out some more round pins. So, you know, those are things that we would have to do.
Yeah, I guess those are things you don't really think of, that they need the right clothes to wear.
Right, you know, because I mean, they'll wear a pair of blue jeans out in just a couple months, you know, and so we want to, you know, do some of those. We want to continue doing our fundraising down. We fundraise with Cowgirls with Heart is our promoter down there, and they have one program that we're working on in February here that's coming up. It's a dance. And we're also going to plan another concert adoption type deal. We haven't got all the groundwork done on that yet, hopefully in the fall, but we're still working on that. So we're interested in doing fundraising activities to help us gain support, you know, funding for the different things that we're doing. In the fall, we're also going to be joining, he was the head trainer at the prison down in Florence, Arizona. He's since retired, but he's going to start working this fall in Prescott. They have, I guess, a veterans program there. I mean, a veterans hospital. So he wants to develop a horse program there, and I think we're going to help.
That'd be cool.
Is
that Randy? Is that Randy
Yes, Randy Helm. Yeah,
we did an interview with him, so everybody can watch that one too.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
he's
fun.
An awesome.
And I actually
guy.
grew up in Prescott, so that's crazy.
Oh, did you? Very good. Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah, we've worked with Randy for some events in the past when he was, you know, still employed by the prison, and you know, he's an awesome guy. So we're going to continue.
Yeah, Yeah, that's
working
awesome.
with him, and I want other projects. It all has to do with Mustangs, but the veterans program, I think, is awesome, especially if they can start training horses. I know that helped me. I'm not a veteran, but I know that my PTSD was greatly reduced by,
Yeah.
working with the horses and realizing, they blow up, and you have to reassure them and teach them ways of dealing with, the horses so that they aren't, frightened of new experiences, things like that. So I'm excited to work with him this fall and see what happens there.
Yeah, that sounds great. That'll be a great program.
Absolutely.
Going back a little bit to the inmates, I remembered my question. Has there been, do you know, I guess, has there been much research on how beneficial these programs are on recidivism rates and things like that?
I think the program in Nevada here, I think they're at I'm trying to think. I think he said like 97%. So it's really helped a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
It's definitely working.
Most of these guys that enter the program it's drug, alcohol related, assault, maybe anger issues. These guys are suffering from a lot of mental abuse, or physical.
Yeah.
They all got their own stories, and just, gang related stuff. There's some gang in there, not a whole lot in Nevada, Northern Nevada, too much, but, these guys most of them that I talk to, they're saying they're not coming back. They want their freedom. They want to be able to adjust in society. And that's the hard part, is adjusting in society, because it's a little crazy out there, and
yeah. And that's, it's tricky to make your way in society anyways, but when you're overcoming also that label that they all get put on them,
absolutely,
definitely makes it harder. And then you add on top of that, just what that situation has maybe done for their relationships, their confidence, their life overall. It's a lot that they're overcoming. And so to see people get out and succeed is incredible.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there was a couple that succumbed to their habits afterwards. That's when I said I had to do something for guys after they get out. That just kind of pushed me forward in the scholarship program.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want that happening anymore. It's not fair. I've come such a long ways, and I have been so blessed that I know these guys can be blessed as well. And that's what I want for them. And the horses, I want to see them get good homes and useful lives. They're worth it, just like the inmates are worth it to me. And that's important.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that when you have so much working against you, to just have that little push or that little something that's helping you in that time, that is huge. That can change people's lives.
Absolutely. And that's why I keep doing it. My husband keeps going, well, you're almost 70. When are you going to stop?
We're going to retire.
And,
all this horse stuff.
It's like, I guess it's a calling. It's something that I just feel that it makes me feel whole to be able to help somebody else and help these horses. So I don't see me stopping unless they haul me off to the home or something.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I had 2 of my Mustangs were adopted out of the program up in Colorado that's not going on anymore.
Right.
But just even in that short time when I interacted with the inmates, they give you a chance to, or they used to, I don't know what it's like now, to kind of see the horse, talk to whoever has been training it, things like that. And just talking to the men that worked with the horses in that short amount of time, you could just tell the difference that horses were making in their life.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have stories, or how have you seen that transformation take place? What do the horses do for these people who are clearly, they're struggling. They're in a bad spot in their life when they join up with the horses.
Yeah. In the beginning, the guys would cry when they had to give up their horses. I would see tears. And so they decided, this is the awesome thing about this program here in Nevada is that they recognize that. So before the adoption even comes up, they have a backup horse or two that's coming behind them. So they don't have time to think about losing this horse because they've got two more, maybe even three more per guy that are coming right behind that horse or horses. So that's helped that situation a lot more. Because that was a hardship for them, is giving up. And they do get attached to their horses, especially when they see the success of their training abilities. Because when they show the horses at the adoption, so when you first go there, there's just an opportunity for the public to talk, like you said, to the inmates and about the training and about the horse and such. And then when we're auctioning off the horse, it's an auction adoption. So it is an adoption. But it's done as a live auction. At that time, they show off their horse, what they can do. And they're so proud of, like a couple guys will get on one horse, or the guy will stand on the saddle, or he'll crawl under their belly. I mean, they really show the work that they've put into these horses, and they're very proud of themselves, which is good because a lot of these guys, nobody ever said they did a good job on anything, and so psychologically that helps them build their confidence.
Yeah, probably both ways, seeing how the public responds, and then
because they get cheered, and the audience really loves what they see, and especially if they do something unusual. The audience,
and is that kind of a little performance they get to put together and create for that event? That's fun.
Yes. So I mean, it's only about 2 minutes. But while they're auctioning the horse off, they'll do things too. And like they'll remove a saddle and they'll get on him bareback or whatever. And that'll start the bidding even higher. When they do something special with the horse, usually the bidding gets crazy, and they love that. The guys love to see how much they can get for their horse.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And our horses have been going for quite a bit, depending on who shows up at the adoption and the time of year it is. We have 3 adoptions a year. Sometimes you'll get a really good deal. I mean, luckily I don't have a place to put a horse, because there's been a few that I go, oh my gosh, I would take that horse in a second,
I bet.
But many of them have gone for, thousands and thousands of dollars, which is great, and I usually post it on our Facebook page so people can see, how much the horses are going for. Because I'm always asked, well, how much did they go for? Well, it started at $125.
So they start at $125. What are some of the higher bids that you've gotten for them?
I'm trying to think of what the highest bid was, and I think it was like $17,000.
Yeah.
And I talked to some of my horse people, and I go, oh my gosh, I can't believe we got this much for a horse that they're still considered green broke.
Right.
Because they put in 4 months, but these horses are ridden and every day for 8 hours by inmates, and each inmate has maybe one, depending on their experience, 1 to 3 horses.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of time,
that's
and they're
a lot of training.
Yeah. In our facility, so they are technically not behind bars, outside where they train the horses. They have access to the river, the Carson River, so they bring the horses down there. They also have cows that they have on site, so they are, and some of them will do some roping on the cows, so they are exposed to a lot of different things, because a lot of our horses go to the Border Patrol, which there's water, that they need to be accustomed to, so, and long days. So, these horses are used to that. So that's a good thing, that they have the availability of being able to access water and cows and obstacles. I mean, just everything that they
lots of exposure to different things.
Yeah. So I think our horses go for a lot of money sometimes because of the efforts and the ability to expose them to more things.
Yeah. Are there any inmates in your mind, or any guys in your mind that really stand out for maybe changes that came about with the horses?
Well, the next one that is going to our program, I think he starts in February or March, He is in Reno and he's working really hard. He got on with the union and all that, and he is doing very well. He came out living with his dad and his sister. He now has his own place. It's been hard. Yeah. It's been hard for him, adjusting to things. But he's focused, and that is what I want to see in an inmate that's going to go into the program. He's going to, and he's training horses on the side. Besides doing that, so he has no time to get into trouble. He's keeping himself quite busy. But there's still those issues that he has, not having somebody tell him what he needs to do, because he went in. He was a kid getting into trouble. Then he went in, so then he was in prison for a while, and now he's out. Well, he's still a kid.
Yeah, I know. If you think about it, it's almost like we don't give them a chance because they go in as having, someone who's struggling. And if they don't have an opportunity to learn those skills and to have that transition and really to have that support and mentorship, which sounds like is another huge thing you do. And Absolutely. We're just expecting them to suddenly be different. It's not a fair chance. It's like they barely have a fighting chance.
Right. And I want to give them the most opportunity that I can, Yeah. And the thing you never do is you never make a promise to an inmate that you don't keep. You take it very personal. Mm-hmm. I've never made that mistake. But I've heard of other people saying things to them. And we have to prepare them for that too. That people are going to say things and want to do things for you and all this, and they may fail you. And you have to be able to deal with that. But as far as my foundation, we're never going to do that. If I promise you a scholarship, as long as we have a deal and you abide by my rules as far as not getting into trouble, then all is good.
Yeah. That's an incredible gift for them. And I think the programs that they have in the prison, I don't know, the way I see it, I feel like that would be a huge solution to both sides of the issue, what our society's facing with these people who come up out of difficult home situations a lot of the time. Don't understand how to function well in the world. And then we have all these horses in holding, and they don't know how to function in society.
Yeah,
but they're learning the exact same thing. There really is a lot of similarities. They're both having to learn self-control and personal management. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I absolutely love what you're doing. I wish that there were more of them. It's something that I firsthand definitely saw how impactful it was.
Yeah. And I would love to be able to do that. It's just for me, it's about funding. I can't help out if I don't have the means to help out, and so, I'm willing to explore anything, ideas, things like that. We just wait to see what happens, with that. And, I'm never going to give up on the inmate programs themselves. I just want to enhance the ones that I already have going.
Absolutely.
We're doing pretty well, and we have so much support for our inmate program here. But the one in California and the one in Arizona, they've had some change of head trainers. That poses a problem because it's mostly the head trainer here, Hank. He says he went into it thinking he was training horses. Showing people how to train horses,
right?
That it was more about training the people.
Yeah.
So you have to have those skills to be able to deal with the different personalities, the baggage that all these guys come in with. I mean, they're angry. There's a lot of anger that is there that has to be released, and that was, I think, one of the more important things about my next guy who's getting a scholarship. He was an angry person when he came in, and he left with a peaceful mind, understanding that anger doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get you what you want. And it's sort of like the horses. The horses lash out because they don't understand, and it's about that communication, between the trainer and the horse. And then you're not dealing with just any horse. You're dealing with a Mustang who's been out in the wild, whose survival and breeding are the two main things that they're interested in, and survival being number one, and to get that out of them, that they don't need to survive anymore.
Yeah.
That they can
that they're safe, which
adapt.
Also another parallel, a huge parallel.
Yes, exactly. And there's just so much to them, and I can't wait to view and be a part of the veterans program too. I think and even a program, for disabled, especially children. I think that is an awesome deal too. So I'm going to be looking into those things. But like I said, it's all about the funding, and
Right.
we're working on it. We've been around for 17 years. We've done well. We're still here, where a lot of the nonprofits have gone to the wayside.
Yeah.
So,
it's a lot. It's hard work.
Yeah. Well, and I have a high value system. I'm going to be honest and upfront with people, and that's not what you have in a lot of nonprofits, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why I decided to go out on my own, was because it was my reputation. And I stand by that, and that's why I don't take a salary either, is because I that's not what it's about. It's about my passion for doing the right thing. So this is the programs that I want to support.
Yeah. And it's incredible to see just how many different ways Mustangs can be utilized to help people. Like you've mentioned, some of them are working horses. A lot of others are really helping people to just live better in this world and to figure themselves out. Like, I'm sure they're helping with many of the people that are incarcerated that are able to work through that program.
Absolutely. And kids that have had to deal with hardship. It's unfair. Children should never be put in a position of dealing with any kind of hardship. And if the horses can help them, heal, I'm all about that.
Yeah. And one thing I've seen is, I think a lot of times the Mustangs do a really good job at sensing the different people that they're around. Like, my horses act way different when my kids are around, and, with the younger ones, or even just navigating their different personalities.
Yeah, I think that they sense, especially, I had a couple of quarter horses as well, but I rehomed them because I think that the Mustangs have more insight. They say that a horse can feel your heartbeat 10 feet away, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But I think that horses have an intuition about people. And I think that the Mustangs, especially because they are very observant horses, that's how they survive. And I think that they sense things that maybe not a domestic horse necessarily does.
Yeah.
And that has been my experience with the Mustangs, is that they sense what's going on in your life. And like my horse, she definitely sensed what was going on in my life, and she was there to protect me, keep me safe. And we had a very strong bond. And, those memories are good. Wish she was still around, because there's so much more I wanted to do with her and show her, to the public, what can happen in your life. But, the Lord has a different plan for me, so I'll take advantage of what's going on now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that the work you're doing is very, very worthwhile. Definitely have a special place in my heart for it, just from my interactions with it. And so I really commend you for the work you're doing, the time and effort and energy you're doing to help the people and the horses. And I think, we've both felt how incredible Mustangs can be in your own life. It sounds like you probably have your own story there. Definitely something that changed my life, helped me a ton. So,
well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate the fact that, you have that history behind you with the Mustangs, because a lot of people who interview me don't have that. And so, they're hearing it for the first time.
Yeah.
Where you've experienced it, which is kind of cool, because then, you can go, yeah, she's talking the truth here. And,
Yep,
this
I
is,
felt it for sure.
yeah, absolutely. So that's a blessing.
Totally up to you. Do you want to share any more of your story before we close, and how the Mustangs have helped you and changed your life in whatever ways you might?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem doing that. I'm a born again Christian. I was saved 13 years ago. I've had to do my testimony before, and it's not a problem. I grew up in a household of abuse, and my father was very abusive. My mother didn't protect us. My dad had a job, and a good job, but we lived poverty-like. I mean, our house was filthy. It was hard for me in school. I grew up in San Mateo, which in the 60s was a lot of minorities, and in the 60s there was a lot of violence. And so with the stuff happening at home and the violence there, plus I was probably the 5% of white kids that went to my school, which was a problem. A lot of the people that went to school were on welfare. We were not. So we didn't qualify for, help in any way. There was no escape at all. And when I come near horses, I just wouldn't want to leave them. I mean, as a little girl, I was like that. I spent a lot of time alone. I had two sisters, but they kind of, they were younger and they hung out with each other. And so I spent a lot of time alone. By the time I got diagnosed, I had PTSD. I had split personality disorder, a lot of rage issues. And so working with the horses kind of helped me a little bit as well. And I know the Lord has changed me. I do not have anger issues anymore. My PTSD is way in control. I recognize that I have it. And so I don't put myself in situations where, it can explode on me, which is, I recognize it so much easier now. I mean, the horses have helped me, learn not to explode, because what do they do when they explode? Well, they can hurt you.
Yeah.
In fact,
gotta learn to keep yourself in check. Yeah.
In fact, I had one do that with me. The dressage horse. He's a great horse for this gal, but he was not for me. He launched me like 10 feet in the air, and I ended up in my panels. And I got hurt by him. So we didn't match. He was high strung, and I was high strung at the time. So I hadn't yet, because he was my fourth Mustang that I worked with. And so, just through time, they have helped me, and I help others now through my church who are suffering. Because, most people that seek out the Lord are hurt people. And so I have a lot of opportunity to talk to people about how much the horses have helped me. And I think it's important that people know that there's a way out. You don't have to suffer the rest of your life, because I was at the point where I didn't want to suffer with this life anymore. I couldn't deal with my own behaviors, my own disabilities from it. And so the horses kept me focused on doing something other than thinking about what I had going on inside. So they helped me out a lot. And I am truly blessed to have them in my life. And that's probably another reason I continue working with them.
Yeah. And I don't know how you feel, but I feel like the horses were definitely put there by something bigger than me, the times that they crossed my path. And so it's pretty incredible to see the changes and the transformation that come about with horses. And when you kind of let go of all that baggage, or set it aside, or decide to figure it out.
Yeah, it's great. It is a great catalyst in the healing process. It really, they are, they're there, and they can understand you. And especially if you get hooked up with the right horse, it's amazing. I have lots of people that adopt and then they want to rehome their horses. Well, they didn't do the work to make those horses valuable. All my horses had some value to them.
Yeah.
So people wanted them, whether I gave them away, in fact, I don't think I sold my quarter horse, but I never sold one of my Mustangs. I just wanted them to have a good, stable home, and people would take them because they had been prepared. My vet and my farrier, they didn't have to deal with issues with my horses. I made sure that they could do what was required of them.
Yeah.
Lil Gal, she could go side pass to any fence or rock or whatever I needed to climb onto her. I trained her that way. That's the groundwork that I put into her. So that by the time I got on her back, she already knew what I required of her, and it was a great opportunity for me. And my testimony for the wild horse is that, they can do a lot for you.
Yeah. And I think that's really important for anyone who's thinking about getting a Mustang to really think about, is that they do take time, effort, energy. Like, probably the most important thing for you to have is that commitment to learn and grow, and to help them, like you say, have a place in this world, to have that value that will keep them safe.
Absolutely. And, there's so many backyard trainers, me being one, really. I was not a professional trainer, but there's so many, and I've made mistakes letting people touch my horses that should have never touched my horses.
Yeah.
And you have
to bet.
And you have to be careful. You really have to be careful who you have. If you're not doing the training yourself, who you have train your horse. I think that is so important. And I think that the good thing about the Inmate program is that these horses have that stability, and you can just take them to the next step, and if you need help, we're always available to hook you up with the right trainer who can help you through a situation that you're having a hard time with. And another thing, I tell the inmates, it's like when you get out, there's thousands of horses that need to be trained.
Yeah,
people own horses that are dangerous because they treated them like dogs instead of like horses. My horse, she respected me. She could do crazy things, like she'd run past me and kick her hind legs at me, just like, yeah, I'm the lead mare. But as soon as that halter came out, she was like, okay, I guess I'm not anymore, So I mean, the training is the most important thing when having a Mustang, is that you have the proper training. And like you said, the foundation is so important.
Well, thank you so much for being here, for talking about your work and for the work you do. If there's people that want to help, that want to become involved, what are the best ways for them to do that, to find you?
Sure. Mustangs of America Foundation.org is our website. You can contact me through that. You can also go to Facebook, and under Mustangs of America Foundation, we have a Facebook page, and we also have an Instagram page that I'm just starting to work with. So, I'm working on that one.
Yeah.
I'm not a multimedia person, and I've had to up my game here.
It can be a lot.
And I don't have a problem with people calling me. So you can find my phone number on the website as well. And on the website, you can see where we're going to be next. The adoptions, it's got a link there to go to the BLM adoption site, so you can see the Northern Nevada Correctional Center horses that are coming up. They'll post those. They'll post the results of the adoption on there. So there's all those avenues to reach me. As far as volunteering, I don't really have anything that they can volunteer to do except, projects. If there was a project somebody's interested in doing to help us raise money, that's probably the best thing anybody can do to help us. And of course, then, you also have to contact me, because I'm particular on who I partner up with. That's just part of who I am. That's and then events that we do, if somebody wants to help in an event. But, most of our events are down in Arizona at this point. I would love to do some here in Nevada and maybe even California. But at this point, we're going to concentrate where we have the most support. And I do want to tell people that if they go on our website or our Facebook, they can see our fundraiser in Arizona with Cowgirls with Heart. It's going to be on the 14th of February, so Valentine's Day. So a good place to have, go dancing and
gotta keep the Valentine's love coming for the Mustangs.
That's right, exactly. So it's going to be a great fundraiser. We did it last year and it turned out really well.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
So we're going to plan some more events down there.
Thank you for joining us and learning about horses that heal and the humans who help them. We hope you'll continue with us on this journey. We'd love for you to subscribe on your favorite platform and follow The Touch of a Mustang on any of the major social media outlets. Please share with your friends, anyone who loves horses, or anyone who might be struggling and could benefit from this message. If you have felt the healing power of horses or help them in their divinely appointed mission, please reach out. We want to hear your story. As we say goodbye, always remember that the horse is always there to help you heal.